Genesis 8. Noah doesn't know how windows work in the ark. But God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and the livestock that were with him in the ark, and he sent a wind over the earth, and the waters receded. God remembered? Was there a chance he might have forgotten? How do you forget about the only creatures that are allowed to stay alive? What else was God doing? It's not like he was too busy answering anyone else's prayers. Now the springs of the deep and the floodgates of the heavens had been closed, and the rain had stopped falling from the sky. The water receded steadily from the earth. At the end of the 150 days, the water had gone down, and on the 17th day of the 7th month, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. Think about how the Bible describes rain stopping, because they didn't know science. It's not about the clouds, it's that springs closed below us, and so did the sky. No, that's not how the atmosphere works. If you close the floodgates of heaven to stop the rain, it implies there's still water up there in some divine reservoir just waiting. And what's with the timeline here? Genesis chapter 7 verse 12 said the rain came for 40 days and 40 nights. It's like 5 months later now. Either someone got it wrong or everyone got it wrong. The waters continued to recede until the 10th month. And on the first day of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains became visible. So if I have this right, the ark landed on a mountain on the 17th day of the 7th month, but we couldn't see the tops of the mountains until the first day of the 10th month. So Noah landed on top of a mountain that was still buried underwater. Makes total sense. After 40 days, Noah opened a window he had made in the ark and sent out a raven, and it kept flying back and forth until the water had dried up from the earth. Then he sent out a dove to see if the water had receded from the surface of the ground. But the dove could find nowhere to perch because there was water over all the surface of the earth. So it returned to Noah in the ark. He reached out his hand and took the dove and brought it back to himself in the ark. There are some weird Harry Potter vibes in this section. If you have a window and you're trying to see if a flood is gone, here's just a random thought. Look out the window! You don't need birds to do your dirty work for you. And if the raven and dove were looking for dry land, why not just try the top of the mountain? I heard they just became visible. Did the raven even come back? We're never told. Which could be a problem if Noah only had one male and one female raven. You can't spare animals when there are only 2 of them. He waited 7 more days and again sent out the dove from the ark. When the dove returned to him in the evening, there in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. Then Noah knew that the water had receded from the earth. I still can't believe Noah didn't just look out the window. If I wanted to know if the rain stopped and there was no internet around, I promise you it would be much faster to just look outside for a second, not wait a week and sacrifice an animal. And where did the olive tree come from? If there was a flood, then the tree would not have been around. And if it's only been a week since the flooding ended, then there's no way a tree would have grown that quickly from a seed. But I don't think that was an olive leaf. He waited 7 more days and sent the dove out again. But this time, it did not return to him. What? The water is gone, but Noah waited another week? And we just killed off a dove for no reason? And where is that raven? By the first day of the 1st month of Noah's 601st year, the water had dried up from the earth. Noah then removed the covering from the ark and saw that the surface of the ground was dry. By the 27th day of the 2nd month, the earth was completely dry. Completely dry? That's not good. You need water somewhere. If it's completely dry, what are you gonna drink? Oh well. Happy 601st birthday, Noah. Totally normal age. Then God said to Noah, "Come out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons and their wives. Bring out every kind of living creature that is with you, the birds, the animals, and all the creatures that move along the ground, so they can multiply on the earth and be fruitful and increase in number on it. God just told them to fuck. If God is telling them when to get off the boat, then what was the whole point of the dove and the raven? All of that was just some weird game. They could have sat in the ark, cleaned up poop, or whatever it is they did, and just waited for God to send them the memo. And what would have happened if God didn't tell everyone to get off the ark? Would Noah have just left everyone there? Would everyone just stay there until death arrived? So Noah came out together with his sons and his wife and his sons' wives. All the animals and all the creatures that move along the ground and all the birds, everything that moves on land, came out of the ark, one kind after another. I guess the polar bears just got off the ark and flew back to Norway. I just want to point out, there's nothing to eat. The flood just went away days ago. It is not enough time for new vegetation to spring up. All the food is back on the boat. There should really be an all-out battle between predator and prey. I mean, this is where the Bible's red wedding scene should go. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and taking some of all the clean animals and clean birds, he sacrificed burnt offerings on it. Those animals survived a global flood that killed all of humanity. They finally got off the boat, and Noah murders them. And those were the clean animals. They didn't even do anything wrong. Was the genocide not enough for God? He killed 99.99% of all living things, and apparently a dove and a raven, and then needed to burn up just a few more animals to satisfy his bloodlust? That is some real serial killer mentality right there. The Lord smelled the pleasing aroma and said in his heart, "Never again will I curse the ground because of humans, even though every inclination of the human heart is evil from childhood. And never again will I destroy all living creatures as I have done. As long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease." The pleasing aroma of living animals being burned to a crisp. And are we supposed to give God credit here? If a murderer says, "Okay, I'm done butchering my neighbors starting now," you don't give him a high five. You turn him into the police because he's a monster. And by the way, Christians say God sends tornadoes and hurricanes and other natural disasters, yet God says he'll never do such a thing. God also smites plenty of people in coming chapters, and we're all familiar with pandemics, so someone's lying. He's wrong too, because we know the sun will eventually burn out. I mean, a long time from now, sure, but day and night will cease. We know that. God is a liar. There was a Republican senator in 2012, by the way, who actually cited this verse as proof that climate change was a hoax. James Inhofe of Oklahoma said, "God promised to keep cold and heat and summer and winter going, therefore we don't need to worry about a changing climate." Let's not pretend these verses don't matter. Of all the parts of the Bible to take literally, it's bananas that there's a $100 million monument in Kentucky to this myth. This is not an inspirational story about a devout man who saves humanity. It's a story celebrating God's genocide.